It's a renovation. It's renovated.
Right, we're going to bring the meeting to order. Nick Griffin will be doing our invocation, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be done by Officer Christopher Powell. Will you stand with us for both, please? Oh, Tracy, okay. You might need a mic. The Lord doesn't need you to need a mic, but the people that are watching on video.
He said, yeah, Joe said go to.
So I don't need this. Ooh, can you hear me? All right. Let's pray. Father, we just thank you. You're just such a great Father, and we just thank you for all the blessings that you bestowed upon us. We thank you, Lord, for the beautiful staff here at Villa Rica, the beautiful council, mayor, all the wonderful, beautiful people of Villa Rica. And we thank you, Lord, that we receive your blessings and your joy, that we live in a free country and that you protect us and watch over us. Most of all, Lord, we thank you for sending your son Jesus to rescue us from our sins,
Oh, yes.
to redeem us, because we all fall short.
Yes.
And Father, we thank you for this great love, this beautiful people. We pray your peace and blessing here upon this council meeting, upon everyone here, their families, Lord. And may they just feel your joy and presence and love all the
Yes,
days of their
yes,
life.
yes.
In Jesus' name,
In the
amen.
name of Jesus, amen.
Officer Powell.
Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Officer Christopher Powell was born and raised in Villa Rica, Georgia, attended Villa Rica High School, and graduated in 2021. Gosh, that was only a few years ago. Officer Powell was hired at the Villa Rica Police Department on September 5th, 2023, and later graduated from the North Central Georgia Law Enforcement Academy to become a certified police officer. After completing field training, Officer Powell was assigned to the Patrol Division on A shift, which is daytime patrol. Officer Powell is a member of True Life Church in Villa Rica and is currently enrolled in the University of West Georgia and pursuing a degree in criminal justice. All right, we have couple ceremonial presentations, and the first one is, this is Georgia School Board Appreciation Week. Proclamation for this week is, whereas the education of Villa Rica's children is key to our community's continued prosperity and success, and whereas for Villa Rica to continue to grow, we must commit to our city's students by providing high academic standards, trained teachers and staff, and adequate resources to all schools. And whereas citizens serving on school boards have demonstrated a strong commitment to quality public education by securing necessary resources, promoting academic standards, and fostering partnerships within our community. And whereas Villa Rica's elected to the Board of Education collaborate with the school system, parents, businesses, and community leaders so that students can become educated, productive members of our city. Now, therefore, I, Leslie McPherson, Mayor of the City of Villa Rica, Georgia, do hereby proclaim March 10th through the 14th, 2025, as School Board Appreciation Week in Villa Rica. Do we have anyone here?
This is Scott Collins back.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Superintendent Cowart, you're here. Forgive me for not coming down. I'm a little disabled this week. Thank you.
Well, on behalf of our Board of Education, we appreciate the City of Villa Rica. We appreciate the partnership all that you do to work with us. We're very proud of our two board members from the Villa Rica District. I think they represent the Villa Rica community well, and we're just very excited that you're willing to honor them, and I accept this on their behalf.
Okay. Thank you for coming up this evening. We also have a employee recognition, and Nick, you're going to have to come up for that. You're not getting out of this one. Tracy, you're doing the presentation.
Well, I don't know where to begin with Nick Griffin. I've been here almost 5 years now, and he's been working with me for over 4 years. Nick's had a great career here. He started out in fleet and then got into building maintenance and then project management and moved up to deputy director of building development. Just a wonderful human being. Hardworking, honest, will do anything, gets it done right then. Is just a beautiful human being. Just will help anybody. I'm honored that not only we work together, but I can call him as a friend. He's if you need somebody to depend on, this is the man to do it. And he bleeds Villa Rica. He loves his job. He loves his staff. He's just a great guy. If we could run him through the copier, and the world would be a great place. And I'm so honored to know you, be a part of your life, and thank you for all your hard work and your dedication. One of the main things, Tim, I'm going to throw this in there because, hey, you gave me the microphone. One of the great things about Nick is he loves Jesus. So in life, that's what really matters. Work hard, love Jesus, and I just thank you for everything you've done, Nick.
We need to.
Test.
We had a few people who could not be here this evening, so you may see a few other names on the agenda, and that's why we did not address those tonight. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Motion second.
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you. All right, we're going to move to public comment. Please keep your comments on a professional level. We will not accept any comments that are considered by the chair to be of a personal attack on any individual or group of individuals. If you deviate from the protocol, you will receive a warning from the chair. This is different from what I usually read. Okay. Let's just be civil. This is your time to speak. Keep your comments to 3 minutes, and I will begin with the names on here. So this is the one that was on there. I kind of have my own copy, and it sounded a little harsh, so I decided not to use the old one. Anyway, all right, first person, Dennis Brown. Name and address for the record.
I'm always nice. That's no problem. Dennis Brown, 2717 Mariner Way, over in the east side of town in Mirror Lake. As a retired head of school, I used to start every one of my faculty sessions by explaining to them they never had to establish credibility. They had it automatically. It was a matter of losing it on the basis of what they did. And that's what I have preached here before, and that's what I'm concerned about. And I have two different things I want to talk about today. One is rather trite, because I assume most of you really don't know, but you have over $700,000 in your restricted budget for a project called the Connors Road Passive Park. you were, through the splosh funds of 2 splashes ago, given $1 million and somehow have spent $200,000 to $300,000, aside from a master plan, which is grandiose and great, which took 3 years for most of us to see. I don't know what else the money's been spent on. That hurts credibility, because I will tell you, I will never vote, well, I won't say never, but it's unlikely I'll vote for another splosh fund, simply because what the money was designated for and is still there on your balance sheet anyway, has not been used. But that's a trite thing. That's not the really point that I want to mention tonight. The point I want to mention tonight is traffic on the east side. You have over 1,200 units, I believe, that have been somehow permitted to be built over these next 3 to 5 years. Many of them are going up. Any of you have had to travel on Punkintown Road over the last 2 to 3 years understand the issue. And it's not just Punkintown, but that's the primary one. And the problem that I see isn't so much the discussions that we had 2 to 3 years ago on public meetings, which were very positive. It's the fact that most of us don't know anything on the east side about what's been done about that. Oh, I know you have a plan. But that plan's not going to help us with 3 to 5 years. The traffic already has compounded itself tremendously. The potholes are unbelievable, no matter how much you try to fix them. Our mayor knows that. She lives right next to a stretch that's especially bad. This hurts our credibility as a governing body. Now, that's not the real issue. That is an issue, and it should be one you're concerned about. The real issue is the road system. And I would just say to you, please, if you're doing something about it, let us know. And if it's on your website, I can't find it. And if it's published someplace else, I think our newspaper that reports what goes on in the board and everything does a great job, but that newspaper is only once a week. Most of us don't get it. So let me close by just saying, you work too hard to have your credibility destroyed. But it's easy to do, and at least in these 2 cases, you've done it. Was I nice enough?
Thank you, sir. It's okay, you can be direct. Can we do that for your update? Cover traffic a little bit in your update? Just think about it. Just think about it. Okay. Doug Lang.
I deliberately signed down lower to give you time to think if I wanted to come up.
Hello. Excuse me. Good evening, everybody. I'm not sure if this is, oh, sorry. Thank you. Doug Lang, 262 South Carroll Road. I'm not sure if this is premature or not, but in watching I didn't watch the whole work session. I think it was 2 hours and 50 minutes, but I caught a chunk of it, let's say. And one of the things that were on there that I just found, I guess I'm up here because I just found it of interest, was, I guess, the conversation of, and I guess maybe it was just something you all were talking about, maybe floating out there, was inspections for rental properties. And I didn't get at least maybe I missed it, but I didn't get the impression that was something that was happening or going forward. I think what I saw was more just of a kind of spitballing, for lack of a better term, and I just found it personally interesting. So I just wanted to make some comments about that. And I know I'm not allowed to ask questions, but maybe make some comments about that. So I'm all for being proactive on everything, and in this case, it would be potentially saving lives. But when I look at or listen to what you all were talking about, and then look at OCGA, look at Constitution, Fourth Amendment, you start getting probably in over my head, but looking at those kinds of things, it seemed to me that it really boils down to whether you're going to have permission by the occupant to come in. Because if not, at least the way I'm interpreting it, that they say, no, you're not coming in. Now the city has to go, I guess, to the Superior Court and get a court order or warrant to enter the premises. And if people invite you in, that's wonderful. If not, court orders, warrants, people kind of look at having their doors, and I'm being a little dramatic, but saying they'll look at that as maybe having their doors kicked in, and obviously that's not the case, but I'm just saying. And so it makes me think that an ordinance, like a law, speeding ticket, you don't need the driver's permission to write him a ticket, but this thing, if it goes into an ordinance, you can be literally stopped just by, and then you'd have to get a court order and have, probable cause, and probable cause with a judge is not going to be, well, it's time for their annual inspection. You need probable cause. So it's probably too premature to talk about it, but I just wanted to mention it, and I'm interested in, more discussion on it. I'm all for, being proactive in saving lives, but when you look at like deaths due to drunk driving, accidental firearm discharges, deaths in code, that's at the very bottom of the list of where people are killed.
Thank you, sir. Alita Farmer.
Good evening. Lita
Evening.
Farmer, representing 216 Anderson Road in Villa Rica, Georgia. Again, I'm coming to speak to the council, mayor as a whole. It's like almost every week I'm finding information that has not been shared with the community. And it is appalling that I have to keep bringing it before you. And so right now, it looks like in September, and I'm pulling it up, that there is something called the Villa Rica Go-Away. And it was established in September of 2024 when we were meeting with you as a body of community homeowners on Ward 1. And this talks about your new plan to network and to call out different locations. The station, Go Away Villa Rica Station, Go Villa Rica Lake, Go Away Villa Rica Creek, Go Away Villa Rica Springs. It even mentioned us as East Side again. And then we also saw attachment to it, the slang name that has been given to our community, the crack, on a map. So I'm asking the body up here, what are y'all doing? Because the things that y'all have been delivering to this community is false. I've been speaking to other entities about all of the promises you have made the community over there, about grants and about possible homes. See, what y'all don't know that I do, I actually call the individual authority bodies to find out what has Villa Rica been put on paper. What are they offering? And so just to let everyone know who's listening, if you're thinking about a house, you're not going to get a house from Villa Rica. What I mean by that, they're promising things that they cannot deliver.
Pamela White.
Pamela White, 102 Anderson Road. I just want to bring up on last Thursday and also on last Saturday, I attended a meeting held out at the library, and it was called a GEC meeting. At this GEC meeting, it appears that our community have been volunteered to be put inside this program, and that the people that sit on this board have decided within themselves what directions they want to kind of go in. There were several of us there. We were very vocal about it. We gave our opinions about how things could be improved in our neighborhood as far as the aesthetics in some of the places that people are concerned about. And as we said before, never any problems with improvements. But anything talking in a sense of if you get these aesthetics done, you got to let the city attach to your deeds and stuff. We're not for that. That's not going to happen. You know, our homes are paid for, and we don't need a second or third party person attached to our deeds unless we get a loan on a home, and no one has done that. Another thing is that this council has told us that they were not entertaining eminent domain. But Mayor McPherson, you yourself said on Saturday when the gentleman was speaking with us, and he said we had every right to speak up and to want our homes, and that they just couldn't be taken. And you spoke up and you said it can be done by eminent domain. That troubles us.
No,
We have it recorded.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I am on record saying I would not advocate or help with eminent domain, that I'm against it.
But we have it on, we have it recorded from Saturday, your exact words. So it has us concerned again about which direction the city is actually trying to go in. Because you're saying, you're telling us one thing and you all are doing another. And that's very disheartening. And it's not being transparent. We need some answers from the city. And I'm just hoping that the council can, those that are elected can stand on their own feet, think for themselves, and come up with your own conclusions about what needs to be done. Don't rely on someone else to have you to vote a certain way. We want answers.
Right, that is everyone that is on our public comment sign-in sheet. Yes, sir.
You said
We
My
have,
name is Brad Hartley.
okay. Council, we have a veteran who's here who arrived a few minutes late. He did miss the sign-in. I think as the chair, I feel like I should be able to give him the leeway to be able to speak.
But there were other people that walked in after we had started as well who did not have a time to sign up. So if you're going to open it up to this gentleman,
Okay.
and that is no offense to you at all, but our policy states that you have to be present to sign in, and that if you're not on the sign-in sheet, then you don't get to speak for public comment. Again, if we allow him, we have to allow others that walked in late as well.
Okay, so, sir, not tonight, but if you'd like to speak to any of us after the meeting. Okay. We have a new policy, and I know everybody is not aware of it because we did do it a little differently for a period of time. Are there any council updates?
There. No one
Yes.
else wants to go ahead. I can give an update. I guess I was going to save this for, I know periodically you ask for our committee meeting updates, but,
Is your mic on?
yeah, oh, there we go. I
That's
guess I
better.
wasn't close enough to it. But yeah, we did have a transportation committee meeting this morning, in which we talked about a few different topics. One of them was regarding the Punkintown Road, and a few different kind of major discussions around the city about certain projects, road projects. And it's my understanding from the city manager that we'll probably have deeper conversations on those at the planning session that's scheduled for the council this Friday. So I don't really have any specific to report on, but I will tell you that we have a plan to have a plan at a minimum when it comes to Punkintown Road. And then also maybe looking at the intersection with Reed Road and South Carroll Road, the left-hand turn lane, proposed left-hand turn lane or desired left-hand turn lane at Mirror Lake Boulevard. And there was one other that I don't have on, maybe I had it here on the back of my sheet of paper here. Yes, I feel like there was a fourth one, but I cannot place it in my mind right now. In addition to that, we talked about a few different funding sources for potential road projects in the future. I think if you watch or observe local government, you're probably familiar with terms like LMIG, which is a local matching infrastructure grant, I think it stands for, what the I stands for, that comes from GDOT, SPLOST funds, which was mentioned earlier about a SPLOST, other kind of funding mechanisms for different projects. We're supposed to have our next meeting in May. This was the first one I think we've had in a while, so I try to piecemeal it and try not to overwhelm staff with too much at one time. But Mayor, if there was something specific you wanted me to address, please let me know. I thought I kind of covered it though.
I thought
Without
until we
boring
get
everyone.
something out there publicly for people to see, it would just be nice for them to know that we're looking at transportation, especially with the
Yeah.
comments and what we have going on with the growth, that roads and transportation and moving vehicles and really even pedestrians, bicycles, golf carts, and anything else around the city. That's why we have a safety study going on right now as well. Safety study will address risky places, say where we have more accidents in the city, that will be assessed, along with pedestrian safety. And it's our hope, because we were talking about the website as well, that we can figure out a way other than just pasting it on social media, but a way to get that out there so people can stay better updated on those items. Any other updates from council? Okay, so the mayor's quick update is to thank the council for opting in to HB 581, that is the homestead floating exemption. And also real quick, just on a restaurant update, we will be addressing a license in regards to Captivating Camino, which is coming on board soon. And also, while we are sad to lose our original owners of Chat and Chew, there is a new restaurant coming in there, owner coming in there to start a new business just on 78 across the track. So, and they will be open, it's my understanding, 7 days a week, all day and evening for dinner. All right, I'm going to move into the consent agenda. The consent agenda is a single item that encompasses all things the city council would normally approve with little comment. Each of these items were discussed at the work session, and it was unanimous consensus of the governing body to place these items on the consent agenda. So I will read each of them off, and then they will be voted on together as a package. Number 1, the intergovernmental agreement with Douglas County and Douglas County Tax Commissioner. Number 2, intergovernmental agreement with Douglas County for elections. Number 3, Fairway 17, the final plat, that's in Mirror Lake. Number 4, the July 3rd fireworks display. Number 5, engineering services agreement. And number 6, a resolution and letter of support for senior housing development. I'll entertain a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Any
That is
opposed?
unanimous.
All right, item A, governing body. We're going to start with approval of, actually, a good variety of minutes. Mr. Drummond, if we have no changes, I'll ask the council, can we vote on these together? Yeah, we have a,
I only have one objection. It was on it was on the regular meeting for February 11th, and it was on item D3. It was adopted, I'm sorry, it was adopted 4-1, but the council member who opposed is not recorded on those.
so could we do the other three and then do that one as amended?
You could.
Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion if there's no other corrections for the items number 1, 2, 3, January 14th, 2025 regular meeting, the February 4 work session minutes, and also the February 4 special called meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve those minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
That is unanimous.
All right, and separately, item 4, approval of the February 11, 2025 regular meeting minutes, and the item to be amended is,
It was on
D3.
D3.
motion to approve.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve with amended minutes for February 11th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
That is unanimous.
All right, item B, Public Works. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Went right by, and I even have it highlighted. Item 5, Board of Ethics appointments.
Okay. I think we're going to take this with three different steps here. The first, Mayor, you would just name your appointment for the first position. If you want to do that now, we can take care of that.
Okay, I'm going to name for the first position Herschel Barth.
Barthea.
Pardon?
Barthea.
Barthay? I guess I
way you
never call
pronounce it.
Herschel by his last name. He's Herschel to me. Okay, thank you.
And then if someone from council could make a motion to appoint someone as the council representative.
She has a second one to do, which we had to vote on.
Yeah, I've got
Yeah,
that as
he
the
didn't.
third, but
They're in a different order.
Oh, you changed the order on us, okay.
I can do it.
You gonna do it?
I move to appoint Luz Morales as the city council's appointment to the Villa Rica Board of Ethics.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
That is unanimous.
and then the third appointment, Mayor, you would appoint someone, and then council would need to move to appoint and approve.
I recommend Connie Flowers. Entertain a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve. Is Connie Flowers, is that it?
Yes.
Connie Flowers to the Ethics Board.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Any opposed?
I abstain, excuse me, because I don't know this person, so
I agree.
do we have any information on her?
She has had an application in for 2 months, which was provided to staff, and I chose Ms. Flowers based on her action in the city as an active citizen over a period of years. Her husband also served on our planning and zoning board. She served on recreation, and then just was a part of probably a number of things that we did, input sessions, citizen involvement, future planning, that type of thing. Yes, Councilman.
Mayor, I sent you a message this morning asking you who you were going to appoint that council needed to approve, and you told me that it was Herschel. So we're switching everything up while we're up here, and I'm with Councilwoman Marchman as far as none of us know which way we're supposed to go here.
Well, when I realized that we did not have the application on file for Herschel, and I knew that almost everyone on the council, at least I thought everyone would know, be pretty familiar with Ms. Flowers, that I would put that in the position for you guys to approve. Whereas I had, you had mentioned to me that you didn't have any idea who Mr. Barthay was, so I thought, well, maybe I'll put the more familiar person as
I only know her as Tom Flowers' wife.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I know of her. And so that is, again, no offense to her either. I'm sure that she's probably capable. However, we were not informed of the choice that we were, actually, I take that back. I asked you this morning who it was that we needed to approve, and I was told Herschel. So this is a complete curveball that Ms. Flowers is the one that you're recommending for the council to approve.
Okay, if it would make the council more comfortable, because that was my concern, is that
I mean, we don't know him either.
there was the expression of not, all I can say is, I put these names forth like 2 months ago.
Well, then you had 2 months to let the council know.
Well, and that's why, as far as I know, the applications were in. Mr. Drummond spoke to each one of the applicants, and.
But the council didn't. The council has not spoken to anybody. We didn't even know the names until this morning.
Mr. Drummond, would you like to assist us in?
Yeah, please.
At this
I
point.
can't assist you in voting.
No. So at this point, we have Mr. Barthay appointed. I could withdraw and come back and discuss more, in more detail. If council would like to interview any of the candidates, Ms. Flowers' name has been out there for 2 months now. Her application went in 2 months ago, so it would have been fine with me if anybody wanted to take the time to interview. I will say for Mr. Barthay, I was not aware that his application did not get in. I know that you interviewed him, or spoke to him, you answered their questions.
I didn't interview either.
I'm sorry.
As far as
Spoke to
interview.
each of them and
They
answered
both
their
called and asked
questions.
questions about
Yeah.
what the ethics board was, and I explained the ordinance to both of them.
So if you would be more comfortable with this, I will withdraw Ms. Flowers and give you time to interview her, speak to her. The applications are very basic because we did not have a separate application for ethics. So we were using the application that we use for all the other boards. So it's kind of basic information, how long you've lived here, why is your desire to serve, and what do you, believe or, that you bring to the table in a sense by serving on this committee. That's pretty much what you get in the application, which is why in most cases in the past when we did boards, I would call the people and talk to them on the phone because you'd learn so much more about them, whether it was the recreation, planning, and zoning. So if it would please the council, I'll withdraw Ms. Flowers' name and bring it back next month.
I have a question for staff. I mean, to be honest with you, I wasn't even made aware that any applications were submitted for this.
Correct.
So, and there's nothing in our packet here either. So who was responsible for providing the applications and the packets and whatnot?
The ordinance itself is, it's obvious we have not filled any positions for the ethics board in a number of years, probably since it was first adopted. And I didn't bring those dates with me again tonight, but we discussed it's been a number of years. So there really was no application process, especially the way that the ordinance is drawn up for at least one of those positions. Is just whoever the mayor chooses is one of those positions.
Understood.
The other one does require council approval, and then council has the third option. But there's no.
So you saying that she can appoint somebody and we don't have to vote on? Is that what you said?
One position
For
that's
one
correct.
Yeah, that's what
one
I'm
of the
saying.
three.
That's
Yeah.
for one position. That's correct.
So I guess my question is, if applications were submitted for the two that do need council approval, why did it not proceed like in the normal course for an applicant for a board?
Yeah,
I called about that too,
I
but you can explain it better.
Ms. Flowers submitted an application. It came into my office. I did not receive a directive as to if she had been chosen or not, or to what position. So until I received a request to send out the application, then I did not send it out, as I was not certain as to what appointment on the board it would fit. So today, this afternoon, I received a request to send it out to all of you. And so it went out, I believe, about 3:30.
Okay.
And we used to attach the applications in the agenda, but staff does not do that any longer for various reasons.
For privacy reasons.
Okay.
And if I don't have a recommendation going in, then loading every application that I have received for people who have applied to multiple boards, which previously there was not a Board of Ethics line, then adding them over and over became redundant and sort of a violation of privacy, I kind of believed. So I have now been sending them to the staff person and to y'all as a body as the positions come open that they would be referred to. And that is in regards to other boards, not Board of Ethics.
Okay.
So-
you didn't know until 3:30 today that it was,
I
Ms.
knew
Flowers'
that Ms.
application was for the purpose to fill this position.
I was aware that Ms. Flowers had submitted an application, and it was not clear as to what position she was being referred for. And so I had not received a directive to place her
Okay.
out.
Oh, you're saying you didn't know if she was supposed to be in one that we voted on or one that the mayor
Correct.
appointed? Oh, okay.
I knew that she was interested. I did not have the directive as to which position or which member or body would be putting her name forward.
So
This
we're,
was sent out at 3:30.
I received the
Yeah,
clarity
that's what I'm
at
saying.
3:30, and that is when the email went out to all of you.
right, because once I got contact and there was concern about not knowing Mr. Barthay, I thought, well, council will be familiar, probably with Ms. Flowers for being an active citizen for a number of years. This is new territory. We haven't done this. We have never done, this body has never done this before. And so I guess we're learning the hard way what the process is from the staff level. We used to always get the applications, and they would be on there. They'd be in your packet, and you could, read the application, you could call the person, everything else. We don't do that anymore, and we also had never done any of it for ethics because we had not appointed one. How many years has it been?
A lot.
Okay, a couple decades, about 20 years or something? Okay.
This ordinance, I've read through it, it needs a lot of work. We haven't
Yes.
specified the term that they'll serve. I think it should be a one-year term, calendar year. And I think personally.
I think it should be till the end of this year.
Yeah,
is less than-
12/31,
Yeah.
2025. I'll include that in the motion I made. And I think personally, when we talk about ethics board, we really need to have a background check on whoever serves on the board. So I think that would be wise.
Definitely needs some work.
Which going forward, we may not have written it, but it's the one that's there, and so, but we have the ability, the governing body has the ability to change this ordinance. So
I
as far
agree, I
as
think.
adding things like that, I mean, not tonight, but as
Yeah.
far as us having a work session, going over it, and if it was the will of the council to add background checks or anything like that, we have the ability to do that, I agree.
I agree that it definitely should be reviewed more thoroughly, because I think it's, what we understand is that it originated as a model ordinance from GMA or something of that nature, so. But obviously, I think that's not on the table before us tonight, so, I guess, Mayor, you're gonna withdraw or Anna has a question? Sorry.
I have a
Yes.
question for Kevin. If I'm remembering correctly, if it seems like a meeting or work session ago that you said that I was under the impression that the complaint would have to be withdrawn before we could work on the ethics.
No,
Because
I think we can work on it, but the complaint was filed under the ethics ordinance that we have now, so we're gonna have to work through, that complaint's gonna work through this ordinance that we have now.
okay, so
But we can work to change it, but it's gonna apply to future, if there are any.
okay, so
future
for
complaints.
this particular instance, the anything we decide to change, which won't be tonight, obviously, but that background checks, all that stuff is not going to be in effect,
That's
correct?
correct.
Okay, it was a little confusing when,
Yeah, I haven't asked the person to withdraw the complaint, and I wouldn't do that.
yes,
So,
you mentioned that in the last meeting.
We're not, obviously not gonna have a board of ethics because we have one withdrawn and we don't have a third member yet, so.
if you don't have a majority vote, then we can't fill that third position. So.
So I would keep my appointment as Mr. Herschel Barthay. And if the council would like to put forward who they recommend as a candidate, and then
That-
I will withdraw Ms. Flowers at this point.
They've already approved. Yeah, there was an there's been 2 appointed so far. So it's just the one that you're withdrawing or tabling at this point.
Yeah, and if we have a meeting, if we have a special called meeting that we can do it before next month, we can do it before next month. But otherwise, I'll delay it and give council a chance to interview or find out more about the candidate.
So do we need to table this to the,
I would.
okay. I'll make a motion, we table the Board of Ethics appointments until the April meeting, regular meeting.
Are we tabling all 3 appointments or just
Just
that
the
appointment?
one.
We have 2 appointed,
Okay.
we're missing
All right.
one.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
I'll second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And a second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
That was unanimous.
B1, Public Works, Mr. Birch.
Good evening.
Evening.
So during the work session, we had a pretty lengthy conversation in regards to the traffic study on Thomas Dorsey Drive, the fact that the speed did not quite warrant traffic calming measures, but it was identified that it was still an issue that needed to be addressed. The recommendation was to add stop signs on Daniel Road and on, it keeps it, Eleanor Walk, excuse me. The conversation had kind of revolved around what risks the stop sign at Eleanor Walk could create or would create by causing a stacking condition down Eleanor Walk and then ultimately out into 78. We did choose to leave this on the agenda to vote, and we had reached out to Carroll County School Systems, and thank you very much, Mrs. Wormuth, for joining us out there and expressing your concerns. We had a great conversation, and between all of us, the head of safety for Carroll County Schools, their traffic engineer, their bunch of their different professionals, we came up with a conclusion that we believe will satisfy this issue and still allow us to put the stop sign there. And that would be to create a one-way road or to make, Eleanor Walk a one-way going from Thomas Dorsey to 78 that would eliminate the traffic coming up and staging for the school. And we believe that through actually witnessing the situation, that will be the ultimately the safest solution, and everybody concurred.
You finish?
Pardon?
You finish?
Yes, ma'am.
Presentation? Okay. Any questions from council? Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to add, I appreciate you setting up everything to go and take a look and meet out so that we could discuss where my concerns were. I understand that with the speed study that it showed that some calming measures were needed over there. But of course, my concern, and as you saw, that traffic backing up on Eleanor Walk was a concern as it is right now. And with the three-way stop, what would end up happening is those that are coming up onto Eleanor Walk would be able, because of that three-way stop, to turn left and cut on into traffic. Essentially, having that traffic back up onto 78, which of course would be the same exact issue that Bay Springs Middle School had at one point, where traffic was backing up onto 61. So by making Eleanor Walk a one-way, and that would be exiting out onto 78. That would essentially take care of the issue of traffic backing up, and we could still do that stop sign right there at Thomas Dorsey and Eleanor in order to help some calming measures. Now, with that said, I would like to point out that there is also several issues over there as far as needing some police presence. I did speak with the principal as well as the school resource officer, and both Officer Mitchell shared with me that he had seen, or I'm sorry, that he shared with me that he had sat in the Glanton Heinzman Elementary parking lot when school was not in session. And he said that he issued an estimated 10 to 15 tickets per day for not stopping at that stop sign in front of the school. This was a concern that the principal, Miss Cecilia Brown, had expressed to me as well. And then, of course, I mean, so if we're having an issue with drivers not stopping at that stop sign, with putting these stop signs in at Eleanor Walk and Thomas Dorsey, we need to make sure that police presence is out there to implement the stopping at the stop signs. Otherwise, the stop signs are completely pointless. I made some notes so I wouldn't forget everything that we had discussed.
So while she's looking, you're saying that you can't go but one, you can come off of 78 and go up Eleanor Walk, but you can't go down.
Be the opposite.
Oh, you can go down, but you can't come up.
Correct.
This would essentially resolve the issue of, because what people are doing is coming up from 78 onto Eleanor and cutting into traffic that's lining up for the school. And at that stop sign, of course, the drivers wouldn't have a choice but to allow the people on Eleanor Walk to come on through instead of lining up down Thomas Dorsey to East Wilson Street. They would be allowed to cut in. The drivers wouldn't have a choice. And we saw quite a few cars lining up right there. There's only one driveway. That was the other point, so I'm glad you mentioned that. There's only one driveway on that road that would be impacted by a one-way street. On Eleanor Walk, there's only one driveway.
And that house is abandoned currently.
Oh, it is abandoned? We weren't sure if anybody lived there or not. So then it wouldn't impact anybody. It would impact one driveway
Yeah, there's no.
on Eleanor Walk.
Oh,
But yes, so I would be in favor of the one-way on Eleanor, which would eliminate the issues that I had brought up. And hopefully we can see some improvement on speeding, but I would like to see some police presence over there. We know that speeding is an issue. We know that stopping at stop signs is an issue. So some police presence out there to implement, make sure that that's being followed.
yeah, and all that traffic that has Wilson Street blocked up in the evening, and somebody's gonna have an accident because they sitting here and you got to go over here to go to where you going, and if somebody coming down through there, that's gonna be I don't think it has happened yet, but that's dangerous with them parking on East Wilson coming up through there. And then, like you say, the ones that's going out past
Councilman Montane's
the
waiting too.
Pentecostal church, they're all the way out through there. So, I don't know how we gonna get that straightened out, because, they're going every which way. And, because I've had to come up Wilson Street and get over to go past those that's parked there, and almost got hit.
Councilman
look at that
Montahan,
next.
are you finished? I'm sorry. Ms. Marchman?
Yeah.
Are you okay, Councilman Montahan?
I feel like the last time we turned a street into a one-way street, there was some sort of notice that we had to provide the owners and comment or public hearing. I guess we have to do that with this, so we can't do that tonight, can we? Or no, yes. I've seen heads shake different directions over there.
Correct, we have to provide the notice.
Okay, so we can't do that tonight. So all we can do tonight is the vote on the stop signs. Okay.
I was going to say, because the cover sheet only addresses the stop signs. You had something else to add?
Yes, I wasn't quite finished to begin with, but the other issue as far as needing some police presence out there is that while we were out there, we witnessed multiple drivers driving on the wrong side of the road too, in order to go around traffic. And of course, there's a hill right there before you get to the elementary school that drivers are driving on the wrong side of the road. And then, of course, you can't see over that hill. It's just a recipe for disaster. So if we can just get some police presence out there, it'd be great.
And it would be correct to say this is all related to school drop-off and pickup time, right? That's why they're going in the other lane trying to pass. Yeah, it's a problem. We had the same thing over on Bay Spring for a period of years. Yes, Councilman McCoy.
I would just like a summarization. So we're making Eleanor a one-way. Are we still doing the traffic, the two stop signs?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Yeah, just the stop signs, and that's what the motion is set for. Any other discussion?
Well, let me ask, would that be doing school hour or 24
Yeah,
hours?
24 hours a day. Be one way.
Yes, Councilman Warmoth.
If we're not able to add in here a stipulation of with a one-way, I'm not comfortable approving the stop signs until I know for sure that this can be a one-way road. And just to point out, Eleanor is a very narrow road anyways. So this is not a road that is really and truly meant for two cars to go down anyways. So I'm not comfortable approving this unless we can add the stipulation of a one-way. I understand that the one-way, we have to put out notice, totally understand that. However, I'm not okay with the stop signs for the reasons that I've already mentioned, without the one-way.
So we can do it one of two ways. We can add to the motion that we intend to bring back the resolution for the one-way street with a public hearing after public comment, or we can table this to the next meeting and include it all in one packet then. But we do have to notice it. We have to provide notice, and we do have to have a public hearing to turn the one-way street. So we can add a stipulation that that's coming. I don't know if that resolves the hesitancy, or we can just table this item and package it all next meeting.
It may make better sense to just table it
I
then,
think
right?
it makes a whole lot more sense.
Yeah, because we've always had one, it's maybe it's supposed to be a one-way, but, but two cars have always been down through Eleanor as long as I've been here.
So I'll make a motion, we table this item to the April regular meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All
That is unanimous.
right, item C1. Ms. Hallman, purchasing ordinance update.
All right, good evening.
Evening.
We discussed in detail the changes that staff has recommended. We met with the Finance Committee members, went over those. The reason that it wasn't put on consent was because some of the suggested changes in Finance Committee meeting, we wanted to go ahead and incorporate those in, present those to you tonight, and then hopefully ask for your approval then. So let me just summarize real quick, excuse me, what the changes that were discussed in Finance Committee. What we did is we added that if a department requests a different item than the specific item that was approved in the adopted budget, it will require the Finance Committee council member chair or his or her designee and the city manager approval for the item change. That was one change. And then the other change was leaving the definition of local vendor to just be within the boundaries of the city limits, as opposed to including the boundaries of Douglas and Carroll County, since Villa Rica is in both. We wanted to go ahead and just leave that definition the same as it is currently in the ordinance, but we just added that they must be current with all debts due to the city, in addition to their occupational license. That was the only two changes.
Any questions by council? Any other discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchasing ordinance updates consisting of purchasing authority limits, purchasing method thresholds, local vendor preference, and technical compliance approval.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Any opposed?
That is unanimous.
Item 2, financial update.
Okay. Yep, I've got it. This is the financial update as of January of this year. We'll look at cash first. You can see that our total cash is about the same as it was last year, a little slight decrease. The general fund had a 6% increase. The water and sewer fund had a 57% increase. That is primarily due to last year at this time we had about $3 million owed to us from GFA for the GFA loans that we had. You can see the East Side TAD bond proceeds as we're spending money. Those bond proceeds are dwindling. We're making our debt service payments from the East Side TAD through the capitalized interest. And then our 2015 Carroll Splost and Douglas Splost is gradually dwindling down because of the new 2021 Carroll Splost and the 2022 Douglas Splost. As far as residential growth, through year-to-date January of this year was 135 building permits at $293,000 and 77 water and sewer taps each at $115,500 and $308,000. Occupational tax is still performing very well. Douglas County performed extremely well. We did reach out to the Department of Revenue to find out, one, was it correct, and two, if it was correct, why was it a 53.2% increase compared to the same time period last year? And they're very vague in their answers, but they did say that there were several companies that filed large sales tax returns at the end of the year. So what we receive in January is for December. So we are making the assumption, or the Department of Revenue is that was probably sales tax for an entire year for certain companies, and they filed at year end. So that is why there is a large increase going from $214,000 to $329,000 for Douglas County. Carroll County still saw an increase. We are seeing anywhere between 4 to 6%. Each month from compared to last year. We received $251,000 on the Carroll County side. Property taxes, you can see we're at 92% collection rate on the Carroll County side, and we're at 95% collection rate on the Douglas County side. So far through January, we are at 93%. I believe through February, we're now at 97%. Water and sewer is one of our business activities / enterprise funds. Our total revenue so far this year is $4.1 million. We've had total expenses of $4.6 million. So right now we have a net loss of $520,000. I would say the primary result of the expenditures being more than our revenue is due to water purchases, both in quantity and in the price that we're paying now to both Carroll and Douglas counties. The other enterprise fund business activity that we have is our sanitation and solid waste. Total revenue, we have collected $608,000, and total expenses $560,000. So we actually have a net income right now of $47,658. Last but not least is our self-funded insurance for our healthcare claims. In the bank, we have just over $1.8 million. And through this fiscal year, through January, we've collected $875,000 or have contributions. That comes both from the general fund as well as employee contributions of $875,000. Our administrative costs and claims paid so far is $627,000. So we actually have a savings so far of $247,000. That is it. If you have any questions.
Any questions? I think we're good.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Ms. Holman. Item D, Community Development, ABL-03-25, Honest Commercial Inc., doing business as Discount Smokes and Beer, and this does require a public hearing. Ms. Cox.
Good evening, Whitney Cox, licensing specialist. The first application is for Honest Commercial Inc., doing business as Discount Smokes and Beer. This is the yellow store located at 733 West Bankhead Highway, on the corner there of 61 and 78. Mr. Ravi Kumar Patel has held a license for many years there at the store to sell beer and wine. He did miss the renewal deadline for the New Year's license. Therefore, he's had to reapply. We've been working on this for a while now, and he was out of the country, tried to designate a manager to be licensee, and that fell through. But he's here tonight. He's complied with all of the requirements according to our ordinance, passed the background check conducted by our police department, and I think we're both excited for him to be approved tonight to continue or restart sales at his store. Staff recommends approval.
Does the applicant want to address us at all? Oh, come on over to the mic, please, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, this is Ravi Kumar, and I run the business at 733 West Bankhead Highway, Rica. And I'm very happy to get this approval for today.
Right. Thank you,
and
sir.
Giving me the opportunity for applying to this renewal. And thank you so much.
All right, thank you, sir. Do you want to wait till we address both at the same time? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Is there anyone that wishes to speak for this item? Is there anyone that wishes to speak against this item during the public comment? This is specifically to this alcohol license. All right. Any other questions? Entertain a motion.
I move to approve the alcohol license application for Captivating Camino LLC.
Oh, yeah, one above.
Oh, sorry.
Honest Commercial.
Gotcha, sorry. Okay. I move to approve the alcohol license application for Honest Commercial Inc., DBA Discount Smokes and Beer, located at 733 West Bankhead Highway, Villa Rica, Georgia, 30180.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Motion passes 4-1.
All right, item 2, ABL-04-25, Captivating Camino LLC. This also requires a public hearing.
Okay, the second application is also an alcoholic beverage license application for Captivating Camino LLC. It is the much anticipated new restaurant moving into the old Charlie's at 921 Morris Ferry Road, Suite A. The applicant, Mr. Juan Medina, has complied with the ordinance in regards to public noticing and has passed the background check conducted by the Villa Rica Police Department. There are no zoning restrictions that would hinder issuance of the license, and staff recommends approval.
Would the applicant like to address the council or mention something about your restaurant? I saw pictures.
Thank you. Good night,
Evening.
everybody. My name is Juan Medina. I live in 902 Creek Run Place, Temple, Georgia, for the last 28 years. We was too exciting. My daughter working in restaurant business for the last 6 years, and one day we stop right there and say, "There's the dream. Go for."
I just want to thank you guys for finally letting us the opportunity to talk to you. We are very excited to grow with Villa Rica. We know that Villa Rica is growing, and we want to be part of that, bringing our different tastes into the city. With a lot of Mexican restaurants in the area, we do want to make it clear we're not Mexican. I know a
We
lot
like
of people.
those too.
No, we love Mexican restaurants, but we just want to bring a different taste to the city, and we are very, very excited to open the doors coming very, very soon.
We're excited to have you.
What types of food do you all? I know
Um,
it's not Mexican.
So we are a Latin fusion concept. We are bringing plates from around Latin America together and doing twists on American food as well. So it's a little bit of everything from Latin America.
I'll do your food, but I won't do your alcohol. But I'll do your food.
I will still gladly serve you the whole entire menu.
And they had a nice article in the Temple Villa Rica News and Views happenings.
He came and knocked on the door like a good 10 times till I finally talked to him.
Well, thank you. You can have a seat, but our attorney, Mr. Drummond, is going to address both parties for the alcohol.
And then I'll address both of them.
I'm sorry, yes. All right, so, thank you.
Public hearing.
Is there anyone that wishes to speak for this item?
Hi, Pam White. I just want to take this time to just welcome both of the applicants to Villa Rica and to let you all know that we look forward to doing business with the both of you, and we wish you well.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak for this item? Is there anyone that wishes to speak opposed to this item? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the alcohol license application for Captain and Camino LLC located at 921 Moores Ferry Road, Suite A, Villa Rica, Georgia, 30180.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Motion passes 4-1.
All right, and our attorney, Mr. Drummond,
All right.
always addresses in regard to the alcohol license, so he'd like to speak to you for a moment.
If I could get Ravi and Juan, and I'm calling you by your first names because Ravi, I would destroy your last name. If y'all come up here, I'm gonna just have a couple words to say to you. All right. So the council's just approved your alcohol license. Well, with that comes certain responsibilities that the city expects. The city does take very serious the sale of alcohol to minors. So the police department back here has been known to send informants in to try to purchase alcohol while they're underage. If you sell alcohol to them without carding them, then your license is subject to being revoked. So we take it this serious in the city. We expect you to train your employees to card everyone and to make sure you're not selling alcohol to minors, okay? All right, thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Item D3, TA-05-25, sign ordinance text amendments.
Council, Madam Mayor, my name is Sean Daniels. I am the Planning and Zoning Administrator here with the city. And these text amendments are in regards to the sign ordinance. I've been working close with the code enforcement, and we want to try to see if we couldn't add some additional language as well as take some things out regarding our sign ordinance. And let me go ahead and dive right in. So section 9.03 is regards to the application information, specifically for the sign review fee. I've done some extensive research with various surrounding jurisdictions like Douglasville, Carrollton, as well as Paulding County, and I have seen that they all are charging $50 for a sign review fee. Ours is a fraction of that, and based on the influx of development we're having within our city, staff is proposing to try to see if we can increase that sign review fee in regards to just those packets that we get, not just for individual signs, but also for development packets regarding these sign permit applications. Section 9.04 is in regards to the time for consideration and issuance. Staff is proposing to take out some verbiage within subsection 1, specifically for a sticker or other device bearing the sign permit number shall be affixed to the sign structure. Since I've been here with the city, we have not implemented this type of practice. Instead, we do our alternative and do electronic keeping with all these signs. And if anybody has a dispute or wants to get more information pertaining to signs, we just upload those from our main share drive, and we can just send those out, or we can look at them that way. Section 9.29 is in regards to wall signs, and staff is proposing to add some additional language pertaining to adding a border frame requirement for metal vinyl wall signs. Again, I've been working closely with code enforcement, and they have been asking me if we can propose this type of language into our sign ordinance, because we feel like it can help with aesthetics as well as a little bit more durability for the specific metal signs. I did talk to some business owners within the city, and one specifically was opposed to this sign ordinance, adding this into our sign ordinance. 4 others were, they did agree on this, and 3 of those that did agree do currently have metal vinyl wall signs with no border. I did ensure them that currently they will be grandfathered in, and let's say a couple years down the line they want to get a new sign, reface that sign, then they will have to have this, if you all approve this, be implemented onto that border sign. We do have some language regarding the borders must be either black, white, gray, or tan. And it was some comments from City Council during the work session regarding it being too restrictive. And upon the request from City Council, if you will all want us to remove that, because you brought up some valid points about what if somebody has a business and their colors are red and green and they want to have a red sign with a green border. And we feel like we don't want to tie down our business owners within our city. So again, if you all want to take that out, that's no problem. We do have some materials that we are implementing, things like aluminum, treated wood, composite wood, galvanized steel, things of that nature, something that is durable, rust-proof, and weather-resistant, as well as have some verbiage in regards to the border being proportional to the sign face as a whole. Section 9.39 is in regards to temporary signs, specifically for the setbacks for temporary signs. Staff felt like we wanted to add additional language, a word to be exact, into the setback sign ordinance, and we felt like if we add this word, it can just tie in home, and we can go ahead and mitigate some more questions and concerns that code enforcement has been dealing with, especially with lawn signs, lawn garage sale signs, things of that nature, and those being erected right off of the right-of-way. And that can, of course, mess up the a vehicle driver trying to get on a road, a local street road, or one of our busier roads like Highway 61 or 78. And if we go ahead and put this inside our sign ordinance, then they can just abide by that, especially for those non-permanent signs, and we can make our roads a little more safer and again, just mitigate some questions and concerns that staff has been receiving here of late. Lastly, is in regards to section 9.40, and again, those are regarding temporary sign standards. This is specifically for subsection 7, inflatable objects. Here of late, we have had a multitude of inflatable objects be erected, and business owners have put those either on a object or specifically on their roof. And staff, we felt like we wanted to add some verbiage into our sign ordinance in regarding this and for safety precautions. So me personally, I do go out on site and inspect signs, both temporary and permanent. And we wanted to make sure that we don't have to go through extra hoops and go on a jib crane or go on a ladder and be able to inspect and make sure that these signs are tied down correctly. Also, we don't want any of these signs to come untethered, especially during some inclement weather and or high winds, and hit a citizen or a business owner or any of their property. Thank you.
Mr. Daniels, if I can ask you one question that I know the answer to, but a citizen had brought it up. They just wanted to be sure, when you're talking about the signs and the price going up, that's not related to the setbacks with a yard sign that might be for a yard sale or something like that?
No, ma'am, those aren't permitted within our city. Those or even the those billboard signs that people have for like soup specials, those aren't permitted within our city as well.
Thank you for that clarification. Questions from council, concerns? Yes, Councilman Wormuth.
Sean, we've already talked about this a good bit in detail, so I appreciate your time in answering my questions. I'm in favor of the sign ordinance except for 9.29, which refers to the wall signs, and adding the border to the metal signs. I know that at the work session, we had discussed a uniform look being given for the reasoning for that, or for one of the reasons for that. And specifically with downtown businesses. With our downtown businesses, you're never gonna achieve the uniform look, because none of the storefront buildings themselves have a uniform look in general. And of course, what looks good for one of those buildings may not look good for another. And, do we really want a cookie cutter downtown look? But again, I don't know that we would ever really achieve the look of a uniform look with the signs anyways. The rusted screws were another concern. And I had asked you exactly how the borders would be installed on those metal signs, and of course, they would be installed with screws. So that goes right back to the same situation of rusted screws over time. And of course, with loosening from the wall as well. With those screws coming loose from the wall and not holding the metal sign in place correctly, you're going to have the same exact issues with a border that is installed with screws. And let me ask you, do we have an ordinance for the signs on the buildings in disrepair? Would code enforcement get involved at that point?
Yes, ma'am, especially if it's a safety issue. Now, do we have an exact ordinance regarding those signs? No, not currently. But if we do have any code enforcement out and they do see something that could injure somebody or something that looks in disrepair, then they'll come and consult with community development.
So then that would be an issue with the business owner and code enforcement?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in my view is that if there is a sign in disrepair with the screws being rusted or signs not are coming loose from that wall, then code enforcement could get involved with that situation, correct?
Potentially, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then I wanted to point out as well that the downtown overlay district already adds many restrictions to the downtown businesses. And honestly, it's an extensive process that's required to obtain approval for the signage. With this amendment, it would only add already restrictive ordinance to the downtown business owners. Again, that's just my view on that. You did mention colors, and that it would be an option for council to remove the colors of the border, and we could add to that. But I'd like to point out as well, downtown overlay district already restricts those colors. I know that I don't think she'd mind me calling her out, but Amy Brown had told me that she had shared with me that her sign, if she had been on the main streets instead of the back street where she was, or the side street rather, that she wouldn't have been allowed to have her red sign for State Farm right there. So that restriction's already in place, and like I said, this just feels a little more restrictive.
Yes, Councilman.
Mayor, thank you, Mayor. I tend to agree with Ms. Warmoth. I think we're just kind of. I think if the concern here is that we're concerned about dilapidated or signs in disrepair, we just need to come up with an ordinance that addresses that. Instead of kind of circling around with this whole border thing and whatnot. I'll just take you for an example. In the city of Hiram, they define an abandoned sign. There's 3 different potential definitions for an abandoned sign, and I think of relevance to our discussion here, there's Part B, which is a sign that utilizes a sign face and sign support structure that is cracked, broken, faded, or that otherwise reasonably reflects a visible state of disrepair or dilapidation, or with totally or impartial, inoperative, or missing illumination or electronic and mechanical parts for a period exceeding 60 consecutive days. And I think in Hiram, what they do is that if you have an abandoned sign, they basically revoke your permit and you have to go back through that process again, or there's a fine or something like that. I think something like that is probably more appropriate than us dictating what a business owner, how they should design their sign. And in fact, this was actually beneficial. The reason I knew to look up Hiram was because, and this is just a rumor, I don't know if this is actually what happened, but people talk. But basically, there's a business in Hiram called the Gift Spot, or Gift Spot. But conveniently, at night, only the letter G was illuminated, okay? So it was the G whatever. And it went on like that for years. And I spoke to, I spoke to some people. I said, I see they finally found out how to illuminate the I, F, and the T there. And the response was, they got them basically on an abandoned sign, is that you had this third section here that dealt with an impartially or inoperative missing illumination or electronic, and they said that's where they had to make them turn it on. And so I think if we're concerned about disrepair or dilapidation, an ordinance that actually addresses that issue head on and doesn't kind of circle around it with, this aesthetics and that stuff like that would probably be more beneficial, not just for these vinyl signs, but just for anything that we're doing going forward. I mean, if the Popeyes has a sign and it's that second part there is just busted in and we just let them sit there, I mean, maybe that's a more appropriate, because that's actually an ordinance that addresses that kind of situation, including maybe your concern about the rusty screws or the falling apart, would probably be a little bit more on point than this. So I agree with Councilwoman Warmoth. I'm okay with all the other ones, but I think on this wall sign one, I think I'm going to probably have to vote in opposition from what I hear tonight. Okay?
So we'll thank Councilman Momtahan for adding interest to the meeting. If you have screws in the sign that rust, I would recommend that you use galvanized screws. That will probably take care of that problem. And I only wanted to bring up one, and that had to do with the inflatables. We had a little bit of discussion when we weren't in meeting here, and that came about. So, they put up ones that blow in the wind, and I had asked at the prior meeting, what's going to happen when somebody downtown puts up a Christmas one on their roof, and it's a blown up, Santa Claus or reindeer or whatever it might be. that would that be considered in these inflatable signs that we're talking about that need to be anchored to the ground? Because I think there was a concern that, oh, we're not allowed to have those decorations. And what I recall hearing was that if they didn't have the business logo on them, they would not be considered a sign and they would still be all right. But if they had a logo on them, they would not be all right. But that doesn't make sense because we're talking about it related to safety. The whole reason they have to be anchored to the ground. So I'm just going to throw that out there for council to think about as far as the inflatable signs. Don't put them on the roof. They have to be anchored to the ground, but if it's a Christmas item without the logo, it can still go on the roof, but it could still have the same impact. But those are nice decorations you'd like to have downtown. Councilman McCoy.
Oh my God, no, no, I hate inflatables. They are tacky. And we want this tackiness all downtown. No, 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 I don't like them in my neighborhood, but we get to have them. I'm sorry, it's the old Southern woman in me. It's the wannabe interior decorator. No, 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 just no. Just no. I'm very passionate about this, as you can tell. No.
Yes.
No. No Easter egg.
Councilman, are you finished? Before I go to Councilman Wormuth, okay?
I don't know how to follow that. Well, the mayor brings up a valid point as far as the inflatables, because those inflatables that wiggle and move and all of that, I don't know what they're called, what the technical term is. But right, those
There is a
don't,
dancing man
those
section.
those don't always have a logo on them either,
Yeah,
so
but-
they would,
They're specifically addressed in the.
oh, are they?
Yes, they are.
Okay. I feel like that may open up a can of worms by allowing decorations to go on the roof that's inflatable, whether it has a logo or not. I would say just no inflatables on roofs. They have to be secured and safe. I mean, especially if we're talking about that being a safety concern.
Yes.
I think we've had at least one every year, maybe two.
Yes, and this is pertaining specifically for the signage within our city ordinance, not for maybe, let's say, a resident comes in, puts a Santa Claus inflatable on their house, then we wouldn't be going out and potentially doing inspections.
But if it's a business, then that's a different situation, is it not? It's not a residential, I mean, residents can put an inflatable on their roof unless their HOA prevents that. But I feel like that is opening a can of worms by allowing, I mean, because it's still advertisement. If I put something on my roof to attract attention with an inflatable on my business, it still is getting attention to my business and advertising my business. So is that not addressed?
So I guess my question for you or for Sean is it the language specifically? Because I think what Sean's saying is it's addressed in the sign ordinance, and that's where the logo piece comes in, rather than saying like no inflatables. Could we just add language that says or decorations?
They just would need to be secured. So, I mean, for me, if I put something in my windows at my business, it's advertising. Everybody knows I'm a photographer. If I put pictures of my work in my studio, it is advertisement. Whether my logo is on those photos or not, it's advertisement.
And I think he's specifically trying to address rooftop, because they don't want to climb roofs to inspect anything. So, what's in your windows is addressed elsewhere, and that's okay. But
I was only giving an example.
so, I think we could address anything rooftop in this section if we wanted to. That's just whether you want to or not, but.
Kevin, I mean, once you get into the question of whether this is a decoration or a sign, then you start kind of getting past your content neutral restrictions, right?
Yeah, you
And
can,
which you can't, which you're not supposed to do, or we're not supposed to do.
right, that's true.
So it sounds like we may not have a consensus, it depends, because there's some disagreement on which part you agree with on this related to borders and that type of thing. So if you want to make a motion.
Well, we're not
once
ready for a motion.
We've got to do a hearing.
Public hearing.
We've got to do a hearing, but when we get to that point, we're going to have to figure out who agrees on what, so we have a consensus.
We get to that
Or
point.
somebody makes a motion and it's going to fail or it's going to pass. So are there any other questions?
Mr. Drummond was saying something.
No, I was
Yeah.
just gonna say, when we get to that point, there could be a motion to approve as presented, to deny, or to approve with changes.
Modifications. Okay. If there's no more questions for Mr. Daniels, we'll go ahead and we'll have our public hearing. Okay, I don't see any hands. So is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of these sign ordinance amendments? Is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition to the sign amendments?
Josh Webb, 640 Cleaver Street, Rica, Georgia. I'm sitting back there listening to all of it, and Councilman Warmoth brought up some valid points there. One thing I didn't notice in that is she said something about the rusty screws, but when you go to adding the border, which she did mention detaching from the building. So when you go to adding the border, right, if it adds more weight, I think she has a valid point of them being anchored properly to a building. Because when you go to adding a border and it's heavier, wind comes, it could snatch it right on off. It's not, I didn't see anything on there about how they were to be anchored with this new border rule. I didn't see any of that. I did hear that, use galvanized screws, but you all know that galvanized rust, right?
So you're speaking, your comment in opposition
Yes.
to this is
That's what you-
related
that's
to.
what you said. Yeah, you
No.
said anybody in opposition, so.
Yeah, right. So I'm just trying to understand. So your opposition is to which part of the
So the
changes?
whole thing. I mean, there's
All
flaws
of it.
all in it. I mean,
Okay.
if you look at it, I mean, there's flaws everywhere in it. Again, if a sign pulls away from the building and falls somebody because it's not anchored properly, and none of that was in there. Then you got, we're sitting up here talking about we could use galvanized screws. Galvanized screws rust. You'd have to use stainless. Galvanized rust. I don't know if y'all know that or not, but it rusts. I mean, that's a proven fact, scientific fact. So you can't just say, hey, you can use galvanized screws or something. No, they rust. There goes your sign. Again, when you go to adding weight with these borders, it don't matter what border you put on it, PVC, composite, wood, metal, whatever, it's all heavy. It's all adding weight. And you're talking about quite a large sign, that's a lot of weight. If you don't anchor them properly with stainless steel anchors, they don't pull away, and it's going to be a problem. Somebody can get hurt. I think y'all probably need to go back and revisit all that y'all been talking about on it just now, because there's none of that about anchors in there. Nowhere. And if you go to adding weight to these signs with borders, you got to have anchors in there properly. I'm just saying before somebody gets hurt. I agree with Ms. McCoy. I can't stand the inflatables. They make no sense to me. I ain't never in my life. I mean, you got these little things out there just flipping and flopping. And what's the point of it? I mean, I don't understand all that. It doesn't have no name on it. So what is it? I mean, it's just flipping and flopping for what? You wasting electricity and air at that point, blowing it up. I agree 100% with her. It's tacky. Now, decorations out in your yard for Christmas, the kids like to see them, that's cool and everything, but all that other stuff, no.
Thank you, sir.
Doug Lang, 262 South Carroll Road. I'm confused and I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. business signs, business owners should be able to choose their own colors. If it's a logo, State Farm, red, whatever it is, McDonald's, golden arches, red back, nope, you're not going to tell them no. Borders, not borders, doesn't matter. As long as it's got to be, do you want something, as long as it's secure to the building and not a hazard, it shouldn't matter. And Christmas decorations, I think the city should just stay out of it. If people want to put up something that's temporary or whatever, as long as it's not a hazard or on a roof, it shouldn't, it's just really a separate issue as far as I'm concerned.
Is anyone else that wishes to speak in opposition to changes, sign ordinance amendments?
Jackie Childress, 1050 West Highway 78. I agree with Ms. McCoy. First of all, I think they're tacky. My problem is that I have seen in downtown Douglasville where they were used, and they blew off and landed on the front of a windshield, and the car hit another car. I think they're dangerous. I don't think there's any real way to secure flippy-floppy signs. We're about to approach the tornado season, the hurricane season. I don't think there's any real way to secure those things to the top of a building. My concern is public safety. Forget the tackiness, although I don't like tackiness, and I agree with her on that. I also agree with Mr. Lane, they should be able to put whatever decorations they want to as long as they're secured on the ground. But the ground can blow off too when we're in hurricane season, tornado season, all that. So that's my concern.
So I got a little of a mixed bag in some of that because part of the change requires those to be anchored to the ground. So if you were speaking in opposition, it was a little complicated because there were a number of amendments. You would actually be in favor of that particular part, that the little blow-up men and all would be anchored to the ground. I never imagined that this particular item would provide so much time and entertainment tonight. But if there's a consensus on the council, you're going to have to figure out which parts you agree on, and if there's a part, because you're going to unless we're going with what's there or rejecting it in total, it's going to have to be a modified motion. You want to make a motion?
Are we still, does the public hearing close?
Public hearing still.
Well, we're still.
Are you closing the public hearing?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Luz Morales, 106 Legacy Drive, Villa Rica, Georgia. I'm not speaking for or against. I think valid points, Matt, Stephanie, Councilman, all valid points. I think we table it, take it back to planning and zoning. I think we've got some work to do, Sean, on some of the wording. Great points. And then we can move on. I think that's where we're at.
Are you looking at me?
No, I'm thinking.
Is there anyone else? We were to the part of not in favor. But on council, there may be in favor of some parts and not in favor of other parts, or we have tabled one. So unless there's anyone else that wishes to speak, we're going to revert back to council. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak opposing the amendments or part of the amendments? All right, we'll revert back to council.
I have.
Councilman McCoy?
Okay, I would just like to say I'm glad I brought unity to the community with the tacky things. That's something that we can't agree on everything, but it's something the majority of us can agree on. While it's small, it's still something. But to be serious for a moment, is that the metal vinyl signs, if I was understanding Mr. Montahan, you were saying something, and I'm going to oversimplify this, that Hiram has a policy that is more like, that's more like fix the sign if it's broken,
Right.
and especially if it's abandoned.
They consider that, it's part of their definition of what an abandoned sign is. If it's broken for a period of so many days, then it becomes an abandoned sign, and then I guess the applicant or the owner would have to go back and reapply or re-permit it. They don't
Okay.
fix it, basically.
Okay, I guess my question would be, would something as simple as rusty screws or something be considered a broken sign?
Well, I mean, yeah, and that's a good question. I think going back to that definition, and hopefully I didn't close it out, which I may have. Oh, no, here it is. It basically says, uses a sign face and a sign support structure that is cracked, broken, faded, so, or otherwise reasonably affected. So I think cracked, broken, or faded, if it's rusty screws, if they're, I think what we were just, I mean, maybe not rust alone, but they were coming loose is the reason why we wanted the border on them. So I think, I mean, that's kind of what I was saying.
So to kind of simplify everything, could we not amend it to the policy B that broken, whether in use or not, broken signs need to be fixed, and we can get rid of the borders and the colors and everything and give people more autonomy, give the businesses downtown more autonomy over their signs?
Just speaking for myself, I don't disagree with you. I would just say I would rather staff or P&Z come up
Okay.
with that language instead of us kind of do it on the fly tonight.
Okay, perfect.
I don't recommend, I don't recommending doing the second part, at least tonight, that we come up with some languages.
And my last part is I guess we can't get rid of the inflatables. That has to go to P&Z.
You could send the entire thing back to P&Z.
Okay.
Or you could
approve part
and leave out the border section, is what Councilwoman Warmoth was discussing.
Okay.
So any combination.
Okay.
It's pretty obvious we're not ready to vote on this thing tonight, so I don't see any reason why we can't table it again and let them finish working on it.
Are you asking to send it back to planning and zoning? You can do that with a zoning ordinance.
Okay. I'll make a motion that
Well,
we,
if I may, I mean, some of them are pretty straightforward, though. I mean, I don't see why we can't go ahead and pass like the fee
Take a
and
couple of 'em.
those
You mean like
things. I mean,
904
that's just
and
my thought,
903?
But
the first two.
right, I think the first, I think section 903F, section 9.04, and section 9393 are the ones that I was.
One has to
thinking.
do with the 25 to 50, right? That's
Right.
the permit fee. The other has to do with not requiring the stickers on there.
Correct.
And what's the other?
The adding the word all to the temporary sign ordinance.
Okay.
Was that the last one?
That one's the inflatable. It seems like maybe we need to send that one back to P&Z.
That last one, was that 9.4? Was that the all?
9.407B.
Yeah. Okay, we can go that route and take care of part of it. I'll make a motion to approve sign ordinance text amendments for sections 9.03F, 9.04, and 9.407B.
No, 9.393.
Was it 939? I thought it was
Yes,
40.
the temporary sign with the one word added is section 9.393.
Three. Okay, I'll back off the 940 and put 9.393 in it.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor? Any opposed?
That is unanimous.
Okay, city manager report.
No,
Oh.
we have to make another motion, correct?
No, I think you could pass that part, and then if staff decides to make any other changes, y'all just haven't approved.
Because
the
I was
other
going to say,
changes.
it's not really a table when you're approving a good portion of it, right?
No,
So,
they can decide whether they want to bring it back to you with some additional.
Yeah, we've
changes or not.
approved part of
Okay,
it.
understood.
all right, city manager report. Ms. DeSanto.
Good evening, everyone. Diana DeSanto, interim city manager. And this report is updated for March 2005. Is this? Okay. All right. As always, we do updates for each department within the city, broken down by section, and including is there a way to kind of go down just a hair so it's all on one and then I can put it in there? Yeah. think that'll do it. Okay, so for our administrative team, we are continuing to meet biweekly in 2 teams as we move into content and editing of our web design process. We are tentatively scheduling our website migration to our new site, set to launch at the beginning of April, and our representatives are busy ensuring the website delivers the contents that residents have come to expect and need. I know that's been a topic of conversation this evening, and we do intend to show a brief overview of the new website at our council workshop on Friday. The other team, so we said we meet in 2 teams. The other team is meeting to create our public service request application, which will also be made available on our new website as well as social media. The public service request feature will replace both Text My Gov and Report of Concern with its enhanced features to provide all items in one location. And by all items, I think one feature that's been discussed in the past is with Text My Gov, you can add a picture of your concern that you're submitting to. On Report of Concern, you don't have that capability. So under the Public Service Request app, you actually have the ability to enter your address, pinpoint the location of the concern, and upload pictures. So it's pretty neat. And again, we'll hopefully be able to get you guys an overview of that on Friday as well during the workshop. All of our year-end financial work is completed, and the city's annual comprehensive financial report for the 2024 fiscal year will be available this month. As you guys remember, last week our auditors presented the overall financial update at our work session, and when the final ACFR is completed, a copy will be made available on the city's website. Our finance team also presented updates to the finance committee as well as the full council last week for the purchasing policy. And again, this aligns some of our spending thresholds uniformly while also reviewing our local vendor preference for quantitative measures. We thank everyone, both staff and those committee members, for their hard work, suggestions, and support on this initiative. Our HR team is finalizing some smaller elements of our upcoming employee health fair, which is to be held on March 20th, as well as our employee appreciation luncheon to be held on March 26th. Keck and Wood began working on the city's comprehensive safety action plan, as we've held both an initial meeting with the project team last month to identify primary stakeholders and secondary stakeholders, and our team of primary stakeholders held their initial project kickoff last week. These teams will be key to identifying needs early in the process and helping us to present options to the community later this year as we continue to develop that safety action plan. For our development services, last week, the Villa Rica Housing Initiative continued to work on GIC initiatives with continued engagement with community champions. The GIC committee met last week as a team and are working on educational materials and branding for the Villa Rica Housing Initiative. The team also hosted its first presentation and listening session that was open to the public last Thursday. And more information will come as we continue to support this team's efforts. The downtown parking lot paving is completed, and the fencing around the detention pond and WIC building is also complete. The team is putting the final touches on the WIC building. Once the final touches are complete, WIC staff can start moving back in and are anticipating opening late spring. Additionally, our building team is working with contractors to begin pressure washing and painting the chapel on North Avenue. The Recreation Department is also going to get a fresh coat of interior paint, and the dumpster enclosure should be completed or was completed by the end of last week there at Gold Dust Park. The team is also freshening up the restrooms and concessions at Gold Dust and B-Plex, and currently are working to receive bids on the bleacher replacement at Gold Dust and anticipate having those before council at our April meeting. For Parks and Recreation, the team completed 2 winter break camps over the February 18th through 21st holiday, and they're looking forward to this weekend's Petals and Pinkies Tea Party, which is now full. And Friday night is our opening baseball and softball Under the Lights opening ceremony. They are also planning on some new art classes to start early this spring, have an upcoming fishing and hunting expo, as well as are currently planning a senior fashion show that's scheduled for next weekend, March 22nd. Also coming this spring is 3-on-3 basketball for our older youth. Watch out for that. Registration will begin in early April. For other services in our recreation community, we've got our One Book, One Community reading event. The festival is held the first week of April, but the process of reading the book is still ongoing. We also have a Friends of the Library Trivia Night to be held this month, which is a great opportunity to check out Gabe's new space as well. So some of our ongoing tourism efforts, they've got digital marketing campaigns as well as PR media campaign, and they are currently working on an ad for Atlanta Magazine March issue focusing on downtown festivals and events, particularly the new Art and Soul Festival to be held April 26th. And finally, the CVB will meet this week, and as they continue to explore a touchscreen visitor info kiosk that they're hoping to install in the downtown area. And our Main Street team and events are in the final stages of planning both our Main Street and city events to include the Art and Soul Festival to be held Saturday, April 26th. Again, this is bringing back the Old West Georgia Jazz Festival event, and this will be a great combination of seeing some of our local artists and musicians putting their talent on display for the community. From the Public Safety Department, they've received, again, all of their red dot site equipment. They've got all time scheduled out in the range, and all officers have undergone training. This equipment is now fully deployed. The SRT policy was approved by staff and city attorney, and currently for our SRT team, we've got 2 in leadership training and are continuing to rotate officers throughout additional training for this SRT or special response team. They've also began working on the annual report, started in January, and will continue to compile information and details over the next few months. The police department is also working on its annual assessment to include completion of a mock assessment earlier this year. This process and the feedback received will help better prepare them for the actual assessment, which will be completed later this spring. And again, last month was they hosted School Resource Officer Day, and we just want to thank our partners at Carroll County Schools and their continued support for our school resource officers. From the Public Works team, I've got a few statistics just from last week alone to share. Community Service walked 6.1 miles, picking up almost 793 pounds of litter. Fleet completed 38 repairs in-house while outsourcing 5 vehicle repairs. Our ground maintenance team installed 20 shrubs, spread 60 bales of pine straw, and an additional 60 bags of mulch at Powell Park. Site inspection completed 41 inspections over 12 active commercial sites and 32 residential inspections over 9 developments. There were 11 noncompliance issues addressed. The stormwater team inspected 41 stormwater structures in accordance with the guidelines set forth in the approved Georgia Environmental Protection Division Phase 2 MS4 Stormwater Management Plan, as well as met with our consultant regarding our long-term water quality monitoring and sampling. And additionally, our sign shop team visited the sign shop in Griffin and saw some very cool new technology and equipment in action. And several of the team members from each division of Public Works attended the National Safety Council-approved Flagger Training Certification class and are now recertified. And as discussed earlier this evening, thank you to Councilwoman Warmoth, as well as Mr. Gibbon at Carroll County Schools Transportation for meeting over at the 3-way stop at Eleanor Walk. It was really nice to have the opportunity to walk through the various options and have a collaborative result of that visit. For our utilities team, the treatment plant maintenance work, including performing a basin wash, which you can see in that first picture shown, was completed last week. The distribution team performed repairs to 3 water service lines and cleared 3 gravity sewer mains. The team also performed 3 concrete repairs, installed a new service lateral, oversaw 5 utility tie-ins for the GDOT North Bypass project, and performed 85 underground utility locate requests. The operations team treated an average of 1.53 million gallons of wastewater per day, while also maintaining compliance with all federal and state regulations at both treatment facilities. Teams also performed preventative maintenance at both facilities, installed conduit for the replacement generator to be installed at the north wastewater plant, and repaired the polymer system at the west wastewater plant, as can be seen in that final photo. And the team continues working to achieve the Water First designation renewal. This is a 5-year renewal, and while this renewal is due by April 1st, our team is hopeful to have everything complete early March. Another current project includes the creation and building of a floating bridge. This will be used to access our structure on Lake Fashion. This bridge will contain fencing to deter outsiders from using this bridge for recreational purposes. From our additional partners at Douglas County Chamber, hear from Bianca Ash Walker with United Way as she provides and dissects crucial information about the nonprofit sector, engage in meaningful discussion and exchange ideas. This nonprofit roundtable was held March 4th. It is held monthly. Learn social media tips and tricks for business success tomorrow, March 12th. This is for a small business success series, social media success and your business. And again, this is to be held, but there's also a Women of Influence breakfast next week, Overcoming Adversity and Reclaim Hope. And the Douglasville State of the City is to be held March 27th. On our Carroll County side with the Chamber in Carroll tomorrow, ready to start or grow your business, get feedback on your small business idea from a trained small business development consultant, schedule an appointment and stop by the Chamber office to meet with one of the SBDC consultants who will help assess your ideas, answer questions, and advise on best practices. There's no charge, but you must make an appointment. This assistance is held on the 13th of March as well as again on the 17th of April. If you get an opportunity to hear from Georgia Chamber and President and CEO Chris Clark, he will speak at the upcoming membership breakfast next Thursday, March 20th at 7:30. And don't forget later this spring to join Carroll County Chamber of Commerce and others as we celebrate their 70th anniversary meeting. This celebration will be held Saturday, May 3rd. 2025 reservations are required. From our Villa Rica cluster schools, each school offered many different celebrations for Black History Month in a variety of ways across all campuses. There were also numerous celebrations for Trailblazer Awards for our cluster teachers. This month, they also celebrated champions for athletic teams, as well as concerts by their fine arts students. VRHS provided a pass prom closet for students, and it could not have been done without the incredible support of the cluster school and community. That's all I have this evening for my manager report. Thank you.
Could you tell me what's going on out here that's got the roadblock?
Oh, you're talking about the water line replacement for
Is that
Church
what they're
Street?
doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And if John wants to give an update, he can. I can tell you they are working to complete this section first, and we'll have everything ready to go for the Art and Soul Festival. We've ensured that by April, and then the work will move back behind this way. I've got my orientation off. It'll move down here.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, if you were explaining it to citizens, what is happening here, and the result would be?
So the water line improvement project that was authorized, I think, late last fall, we let in late December, and work has begun just over here by the railroad tracks outside of the mill. The work's begun. They are starting there, and then they will advance down and into Church Street, and the work will be completed on this section just outside, again, the mill and the courthouse, hopefully next couple weeks. It's hard to put a date on it when we're in, tornado and rainy season, but hopefully in the next few weeks.
Thank you. We're going to move into executive session. Mr. Drummond, would you explain the purpose for the session?
Yes. We need a motion to go into executive session to discuss or vote on, to authorize negotiations to purchase, dispose of, or lease property as provided in OCGA 50-14-3 B1B, and also pursuant to the attorney-client privilege as provided in OCGA 50-14-21 to meet with legal counsel pertaining to pending or potential litigation, settlement claims, administrative proceedings, or other judicial actions.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?